So hello and welcome to Pentacube. Today I am going to be showing you a very easy tutorial on how to solve a Rubik's Cube. So what you need to know for this tutorial, you don't need to know much. So all you need to know is just some terminology. So this piece here in the middle, that's the center. This one here with 2 colors on it is an edge, and this one with 3 colors on it is a corner. I'll be referring to those using those names. I also recommend that you learn some move notation. So that is some notation, so some letters for how to do turns on the cube for different algorithms on the cube, which is just a series of moves. I will link to a video on how to do notation in the description. However, if you do not want to learn notation, you can just avoid learning it. However, I do recommend it as it makes it easier to learn the algorithms, and it also helps when you progress later through cubing. Okay, so now let's get started with the tutorial. First, you'll need to scramble up your cube. So the first step to solve the cube is to solve the white cross. I will be splitting this into 2 steps. So first, getting all of the white cross pieces into the right position and then making them in the right direction. So a white cross is just basically a cross here, so that these 4 are all white, and also these 4 colors on the side are also correct. So all you need to do is just find a white edge piece. So that's an edge piece with white on it. So for example, this one here. Then all you need to do is just spin it so that it goes into the white layer. If there's already one there, then you won't need to do that step. Then this has green on the other side of the edge, so that means you will need to spin it to green, and now you will see that it is in the correct spot. You will notice that it is actually flipped around. However, we will fix that later. Now, all you have to do is just find another edge piece. So let's say we pick this one. So for the next edge pieces, you will be moving them up to the top layer. Then you will spin it on top of the correct center, and then you will spin it down, making sure that you do not disturb the edge that you have already solved. You repeat the same thing for the other 2 edges. So you would turn this is already on top, so you turn it on top of the center and then you spin it in. Then you would turn this up to the top, and then you would spin it in. Now for the second part of the cross, so that would be making sure that all of the edges are in the right direction. So right now you can see that these 3 are already in the right direction, but this one is not. So all we have to do here is just a very simple algorithm. So for move notation, that is just F prime, D, R prime, D prime. If you didn't want to learn move notation, then you can just follow along with the moves that I do. So now after the white cross is complete, the next step is to do all of the white corners. So all the corners that have white on it. So it's this one, this one, this one, and this one. Put them in the right spots and also in the right direction. So what we first need to do is find any corner, any white corner that is on the top layer. For example, this one. Now, this corner is white, orange, blue. So it means that it needs to go into here, which is white, orange, and blue. So that means all we need to do is just turn the top face so that it matches on top of where it needs to go. Then all we have to do is just use another algorithm. This algorithm is again pretty simple. 4 moves: R, U, R prime, U prime. Now it has gone in the slot, so it's in the right position. However, it is not in the right direction. So how do we make it into the right direction? Well, all we have to do is just repeat this algorithm until it solves itself in the right direction. And then again, we repeat this for the other corners. So this one here, you put it on top of where it needs to go, do the algorithm until it solves itself. And now you will find that there are actually no white corners on top, even though not all the white corners are solved. What do we do here? Well, all we need to do is find a white corner that is not solved yet. So not these two, so one of these two. Let's say we pick this one, and then we hold it in the bottom right, and then we do R, U, R prime, U prime. And then now we've taken it out, and now it's on the top, so we just spin it on top of where it needs to go, and then just continue as normal with all of the corners. Now, after all the white corners are done, the next step is to solve the middle layer edges. So it's this layer here, so we need to get the edges into the right spots. So again, the first step is to find any edge in the middle that's going to go in the middle layer that currently is on the top. So for example, this one is blue and red, so it needs to go in here. So that means we hold this on the right, and then we put this edge just by turning the top layer over there. Okay, just over there. Then we do a new algorithm. So the first 4 moves are the same as the previous algorithm that we learned: R, U, R prime, U prime. Then we do F prime, then U prime, then F. This puts the edge in the right place. But again, it is not yet in the right direction. So what do? Well, similar to the last one, we repeat the algorithm, but only repeat it once, and then now we've got it back out, and now we need to reposition it again before we do the algorithm once again to put it in the right direction. And then we can repeat this for the edges. So let's say this one here. Yep, this one goes in there, so it's really in the right spot for us, right there. We do R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime, U prime, F. It's in the wrong direction, so we do it again. We reposition it, and then we do it again. And now it's in the correct spot. And then again, you will get sometimes cases like this where there are no white edge, where there are no middle layer edges on the top. Then we do pretty much the same thing for the corners. We just do the algorithm, making sure that this is an unsolved edge, so that what we took out was not solved yet, and then we continue as usual. So we put that in, it's the wrong direction, like that, and then final edge, this one, go in like that, and it is in the right direction, so we won't have to do it again. And now we have completed what you would call the first 2 layers of a cube, or F2L. Now all we have left is just the last layer of the cube. Here you will need to learn some things called cases, which is just different things that you just have to look at and find a pattern. So first we are going to be orienting the yellow edges. So if you don't know what that means, it just means that you're turning them to the right direction first, so that we get all the yellow on the edges on the top. So we'll get something like a cross, except that the sides don't have to be solved. So there are a few cases here. So the case we've got here is called the L case, because the edges in the center look like an L. What we'll do for the L case is what we would hold it down here. Then what we would do, turn the front 2 layers clockwise. Then we would do R, U, R prime, U prime, an algorithm from the corners, and then you would move the layers back, and then we have solved the cross. Another case here is the line case. So when we get the line case, we just hold the line horizontal, and then instead of turning 2 layers, we just turn 1, and then do the same thing, and we would solve the cross. The final case is just the dot case, where only the center is solved and none of the other edges are oriented. So what we would do here is we would just do the algorithm for the line case, which is like that. So we can do it in any direction because it's going to be the same, whichever direction you do it. So you do the algorithm, and then now you will see that we now have an L case. So we just do the algorithm for that. And now we have solved the yellow cross. And of course, there will also be the case that you will get it solved for you, in which case you won't have to do anything for this step. Okay, so now the next step is to make all the edges in the right spot. Right now you will notice that this edge is in the right spot, but none of the others are. We will be fixing that in this step. So first, all you have to do is just try and turn the cube around and see if you can solve exactly one edge. So for example, if it was something like that, we solved 2 edges, and these two are not solved. So there's 2 edges solved, so that's not what we want. So if the 2 edges solved are next to each other, it means you can turn it around so that you will get just 1 edge solved. So you can just turn it around and see what happens, and you'll eventually get this. So in this case, you would hold the solved edge up front, make sure it is lined up. Then you would do this new algorithm. R, U2, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime. Now sometimes this would solve all of the edges to make them in the right place, but you will notice that in this case it has not yet done that, so it just means that we have to do the algorithm once again to solve all the edges. Okay, and of course there are also other cases. So this case here, so in this case you will notice that no matter how you turn it, you'll always get either 2 edges solved that are opposite each other, or you would get edges solved. So in this case, you just have to hold it in whichever direction you want and then do the algorithm. And then now you will get the case where you have 2 adjacent solved or just 1 edge solved, and then you can just continue with that case to solve the edges. And then of course there's the case where you already have it solved, so you won't have to do this step. Now the next step is to orient all the yellow corners. So that means, again, turn it so that it is all yellow on top. Yeah, but for this step we will actually be turning the cube around so that white is on the top and yellow is on the bottom. Then we make sure we hold an unsolved corner here, so corner that's not yet oriented. Then we do R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, an algorithm again, until we get the yellow on the bottom. Then we just turn the bottom layer to a U corner that is not yet oriented. Then we keep going with the algorithm, and then we keep doing that. So we turn it here, then we turn it here, and normally after this you will get the white, the yellow face solved, and also the everything up at white done again. However, sometimes you will get a case like this where you solve the white face, the yellow face, however you haven't solved the white yet, so you've messed up the white. In this case, you just have to keep doing the algorithm and then see if you can solve the white back again. If you can't solve the white back, it means you messed up the algorithm and you'll have to redo resolve the cube again, starting from the first step. But if you can solve it again, you will notice that there is just one corner that is not yet oriented. this means that you have a corner twist. And it's pretty easy to fix. You just need to turn this corner like that. Yeah, this is a pretty rare case, and normally you wouldn't get it unless you did it on purpose. Okay, so now for the final step. So again, we're just going to solve the edges back to where they were, and now we need to move the corners around so that they are all in the right place. Here we just have two very short algorithms. It is RU R prime and then RU prime R prime. So that's the reverse of RU R prime. It's just the RU R prime U prime except without the last move. So what we do here, again, we hold an unsolved corner here. Then we do RU R prime. Then we have to find where this corner goes. So this corner goes into here. So that means we spin this around to there, and then we put this in with our U prime R prime. And this solves the corner. And now again, we look at the corner on the top. That is yellow, so this one here. This one needs to go into there. So we spin that around, put it in. And this one goes into there, and then we do it in. So every time we just make sure that we're alternating RU R prime and RU prime R prime, and then eventually you will solve the whole cube. However, again, there is a special case. For example, in this case here, you will just try and follow the steps. So RU R prime, this one goes in here, you spin around. RU prime R prime, this one goes in here, spin around. And RU R prime, and now you will notice that there are actually no yellow corners on the top. So then what do we do here? What we do is just we spin any unsolved corner around, and then we continue with the RU R prime or RU prime R prime. And we continue by putting this in here. Then this one goes in there, we spin around, put it in, and then after that last turn, we are done. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Hope this helped you solve your cube. And if you want to learn some more advanced stuff from this, so just a few more algorithms and tips or tricks, then if I have made the video, then I will put a link to that in the description and a card in the top right corner. If it's not out yet, then please subscribe so that you will get the notification when the video does come out. And again, if you want to learn movement notation, there is also a link to that in the description. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.